What is up, my friend? It's your man, Will Murphy here, coming to you today with a very special video for you today. Tell me if this sounds familiar. I really want to lose weight. I really want to lose belly fat, but I just can't stop eating. If you said this to yourself, then you're definitely not alone, because I was there too, and especially during the holiday season, because right now is the holiday season. If you're watching this in the future, welcome to the holiday season of 2020, then you are definitely not alone. Before we get rolling with the video, if you are not already, please subscribe down below to the channel and drop a like. When you hit the like button, it really helps the YouTube algorithm so more people will be able to see this content. Did you like it? I'm not going to start the video until you like it. I'm serious. I'm not going to start. So like I said, if you agree with not being able to eat, you've always had weight loss as a goal. I want to lose 10 pounds, lose 20 pounds, or even up to 100, or a lot of excess body weight. Usually, as a personal trainer, as someone who's gone through this in the past, you're definitely not alone. Before I became a personal trainer, something that I don't share too often is my, very poor relationship with food. Not to say that I had a lot of weight to lose. At certain points in my life, I did have 40, 50 pounds of weight to lose. And then during college, after my freshman year of college, in through my sophomore year, I lost about 50 pounds, and while putting on muscle. So I wasn't sure about how much I lost exactly, but I lost a lot of weight. All the while, when I was down at my lowest was about 150 pounds, I still had a very poor relationship with food, and specifically sugar. I was exercising 4, 5, 6 days a week. I was doing really well in college at the time, but I had this terrible habit with specifically sugar, things like brownies and ice creams. Actually, what I would do is I'd get 2 brownies and then I'd heat them up in the microwave, and then I'd put ice cream on top, a la mode. And it's still to this day my favorite dessert. And this had happened to me quite often. And it was still something, and I was still at a very low. I would work it off. I would exercise, and I would kind of beat myself up about it, but I'd kept the weight off. It became a really intense struggle for me, and something that was very emotionally burdening, which leads to my first point, which is identifying physical and emotional hunger. If you are having trouble controlling your eating, if you're getting like really intense hunger pangs that come on really fast, then it's probably an emotional hunger response. Physical hunger usually comes on pretty slowly, usually around your normal meal times. It's characterized by having emptiness in the stomach, rumblings in your stomach, something that doesn't just boom come on out of nowhere. Emotional hunger, on the other hand, comes on very suddenly because of an unpleasant feeling, like a stress response. Could even be boredom, anxiety, fear, or loneliness. And at this point, you could probably, if you've been doing this for a while, you could probably figure out which one yours were, or what are more commonly yours. There's some people saying, all of those are mine. For me, it was more so anxiety and loneliness. The very key piece of information that I want you to learn from this is that your body's actually not hungry. Your body really just wants the hormonal response to eating. Whenever you eat, you get a little hit of dopamine in your brain. It's a satisfying response because your brain wants to keep you alive and it doesn't want you to be famished. And whether you're very overweight or not, it still wants it rewards you for eating. Because when you do that, your brain remembers the last time you ate, what you ate, especially fruit, because way back, when we, weren't civilized, we would have to remember where we got the food, what we were eating, and what color it was, because, we wanted to be able to live to see our next meal. So if you're saying, okay, this is all great, now I understand it, now I'm good. Well, isn't usually the case, because those emotions are, practiced. If you've been doing this a lot, you practice them. And as I have in the past, I used to practice those. And on certain days of the week, I noticed that I would do them much more. So what you want to do is become more mindful. Now, this is a practice. It's not putting a Band-Aid on your cut. It's not going to solve things it's not going to solve everything at once. So what you want to do is practice mindfulness consistently. Things like meditation, calming your mind, especially first thing in the morning, last thing at night, just reconnecting with your body. When you check in and reconnect with your body and your mind on a consistent basis, you'll really learn what your body's trying to tell you. And it's usually not that you're lacking brownies, in my case, or lacking more pizza. When you can take a moment to breathe, a great technique is to breathe. One easy technique that I like to use is the box breathing technique. It was made famous by Navy SEALs, where you inhale for 4 seconds, hold that for 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold that exhale for 4 seconds. So you're holding 1, 2, 3, 4, and then do that 4 or 5 times. That normally can calm your mind, because breathing is a very intense physical way of reconnecting to your body. When you can reconnect with your breathing, even closing your eyes, because our eyes are windows to the soul, they say, and when you're experiencing boredom, anxiety, loneliness, normally we have a pattern with our eyes. So if we're depressed or lonely, normally we're looking down or somewhere really slumped over in a particular direction. Or if we're anxious, our eyes are going everywhere at once and we can't focus. Another great tip is to use a food journal. You can use apps like MyFitnessPal, or just even open up your notes page and write down the day, every meal, what you ate, and your particular snacks, what you snacked, how you felt before, what emotions were you feeling, what happened before, did you have some type of anxiety, stress response, were you mindful, were you watching TV when you were eating, were you talking to someone, were you at work, were you in the car, were you in a place that you're not really comfortable eating, so you just kind of, fed yourself very quickly. What you really want to do from this is do this for a couple weeks or a month even, or if you've done this in the past, do this pretty consistently. Be very disciplined about this, because this is very important. If you can identify the problem areas, the problem times. For me, those problem times were Friday night, Saturday night sometimes, typically, because of loneliness, because I didn't have plans that particular day. I was just very sad, other stress from family, or any number of things that could have happened to me or during college at the time, I had a big paper due in a week or 2 weeks and I was putting it off. I had all these different responsibilities that I wasn't tending to. So along with the foods that you write down, you want to write down kind of what's going on in your life. You actually want to journal a little bit, even if you're not big into journaling, just jot down purposefully, what's going on, what's big stresses, what stressors are in your life at the current time, just so you have an idea of where your state is. So when you look back into this every week, twice a week, maybe pick Sunday or one day every week to kind of identify what those problem areas are. And then lastly, this is a big key. What specific foods are you overeating? For me, it was really never pizza. It was never wings or any of the salty foods. It was always the sugar. It was the brownies. It was the cupcakes. It was the cakes, pies even, and ice cream. I would go to those things. So I would make sure at first, when it was really hard, I would try my best to avoid them or definitely not even have them in the house or in my dorm at the time. Especially now, I try to limit candy bars and even protein bars at the time. I would convince myself that they were healthy for me because I was getting a good amount of protein, but at the same time, certain bars had like 20 grams. It's just, a candy bar with some crappy protein in there. So once you can identify those specific foods, you can identify and figure out, okay, I'm not gonna have a problem if I go over their house and have pizza, because that doesn't really trigger anything for me. I can eat that moderately and not have too much of a response. But if I go, over for Thanksgiving or Christmas and there's cheesecake, it's like, uh-oh, that's gonna give me some problems. So here are my best tips on how to become more mindful when eating. Aside from just the journaling, here are some things that I really emphasize that you start doing right away. And remember that this is a practice. You're not gonna have this all solved right away. Especially with psychological and emotional stresses and triggers, it's not something that you can just fix right away. As much as we believe that we could just take this, pill, do this right away, and then everything's solved, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. First and foremost, number one, get rid of the distractions. Don't watch the news. I've said this one many different times before. The news is not made to make you feel good. It's not made to make you relax or feel good about the things happening in the world. They are there to trigger you. There's a saying, if it bleeds, it leads. The storylines with the worst titles always get the top slot. Unfortunately, as much as I love The Office, as much as I love Friends and Seinfeld, watching Netflix, watching TV shows is not the best idea either, unfortunately, because it takes you out of being mindful with your food. It's very easy to get distracted and just eat away, eat. Do you know which day the most food is consumed every year? I'll give you a hint, it's not Thanksgiving. It is actually Super Bowl Sunday. That's right, the first Sunday in February is when the most food is consumed. And what are people doing? They're watching the game and they're watching the commercials. So there's no downtime, there's no break time. Everybody's just piling food into their mouths and have no idea what their body actually needs or if their body wants it. Probably most of the people are probably full then. And what are they watching? They're watching Doritos commercials, Budweiser commercials. They're watching all these commercials about food. Number 2, slow down when you're eating. One thing that I like to do is close my eyes from time to time, not all the time, and try and pick out the different flavors in the food. This will really bring you down, present in the moment. Funny story, actually, when I noticed that I was eating too rapidly, I actually had a timer. I would put the timer on my phone next to my plate, and I would, every minute on the minute, I was able to take a bite, and I realized there was a lot of downtime in between minutes. I was really biting and eating really quickly, too fast, unfortunately, and it did work. I became fuller much faster. Number 3, do a breathing technique or exercise 5 minutes, or even a few minutes before the meal. You can do that box breathing technique, or even like a simple one, 3 rounds. You do. This really helps calm your mind and anxiety. What you do: 2 sharp inhales followed by a very slow exhale. So you go, and you want to inhale pretty intensely. So, and don't be afraid to really drag out the exhale, because what the exhale does is that's all the carbon dioxide in your system that you're exhaling out. And carbon dioxide can be a bit of a Carbon dioxide can be a bit of a stressor, especially in our bodies, because it's a little bit more acidic, so it makes us a little bit more anxious, especially when our blood is a little bit more acidic than it should be. And last but not least, number 4, practice gratitude. You could do it at the meal, or you can do it just first thing in the morning, last thing at night. And be kind to yourself. Be thankful, be grateful that you took the time for yourself to better your health, to improve your mindset, your health, because this is a journey. Many people say it's a marathon, but it's a journey. There's really no finish line. I mean, some people say the grave is the finish line, but that's for another video, another day. Be grateful, be very kind to yourself. A lot of these times that we have those emotions of anxiety, of loneliness, of boredom, of whatever you're dealing with, jealousy, whatever, when we get triggered to overeat, that emotional response, it's because of oftentimes negative self-talk. And research has shown that 60 to 90% of an average person's self-talk is negative. So the majority of your self-talk is negative, which is terrible. We largely, our social constructs of Instagram and social media and all these different things showcase the best people in the world, the people who look the best, the people who have the most followers, the most likes. And we're constantly comparing ourselves with them, with their highlight reel, when we're sitting on the couch eating brownies and ice cream. So be kind to yourself. There's far more people dealing with this than they probably admit, or even if they even know about. Be kind, be thankful to yourself just for starting this process, because it takes a lot of courage to do what's best for your body in a world where it's very easy, where the overwhelming majority of people are overweight, a large percent of the people are obese, unfortunately. So be kind to yourself, my friends. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to reach out, I am still personal training. You can message me in the comments below, or find me on Instagram or Facebook. If you would like to receive some help with your health, fitness, eating better, and finding an exercise regimen that works for you. Thanks, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.